Hey y'all, I'm Haley Stoltenberger and welcome to Charleston. I will be your tour guide this evening and we're going to have a lot of fun. This city is full of energy, not only from humans, but from paranormal activity. This town in every corner has a story, and I am going to tell it because I believe that every story needs to be told. Why is Charleston, you ask, one of the most haunted cities in America? Well, it's one of the oldest cities. It's seen a lot in its day. It's seen a lot of tragedy, a lot of death, suicide, just everything. The Big Apple says it's a city that doesn't sleep. Well, the Big Apple is wrong because the bars close at 3. But Charleston is a city that doesn't sleep because maybe when you're sleeping, well, not even maybe, when you are sleeping, guarantee that there are ghosts, paranormal activity happening all around you, no matter what hotel you're staying in. I have stories there. Talk about those later. Those of you that are not from Charleston, have you had a paranormal experience already? Great. During our tour while we're walking, I love to hear about them. I love hearing stories. Or after the tour. Please feel free. And I'll tell mine too. So, we're going to be visiting dungeons, pirates, right? I think pirates are fun because, like, real ones. I mean, like, not, you get what I mean. So, all my stories might not be like, ooh, I am scared, I can't sleep tonight. But you'll learn some history, you'll learn something on this tour, something exciting. If not, I do a lot of facial expressions and stuff, so I'm pretty fun. Let's get this tour started, but before, I want you guys all to get your phones out. You don't have to, it wasn't, but if you want to, record the whole tour. After the tour, I want y'all to listen. And I guarantee one of you, something's going to happen that's going to be paranormal on it. It's just a fun activity. I've done it. It's fun. Or scary. And fun and scary. So, let's get this tour started. Because I'm half Bohemian Gypsy. Obviously, I'm going to stir something up. Let's go. Hey, how are you? Hi. Oh, here we are. The Blind Tiger. I feel the scariest stories come from our peers, our friends, our family members. And they come from still the Blind Tiger today. The Blind Tiger was opened in 1893. The original Blind Tiger was established in response to the South Carolina dispensary system. So, South Carolina controlled most of the alcohol at that time. And Governor Tillman was on top of Charleston. Blind Tiger to be exact. Anyone who opened a bottle, drank anything on this premises was arrested. However, Tillman and his little friends would sell one bottle to each customer that came through. A lot of dispensaries did this at this time. So when the prohibition was over, a lot of dispensaries opened. And the Blind Tiger is still open. Ask the owner today. The walls do talk. How did he get the name Blind Tiger, you ask? Well, when he was little, he didn't have an eye. And he loved the Clemson Tigers. Go Tigers! So, that's why they named him Blind Tiger. Just a little history for you. Fun history. He still walks around the Blind Tiger today. Not only him, but there is also a black woman in black. I should say a woman in black, excuse me, that haunts the place. People will see her just floating above the table, standing right next to them. Okay, so no thank you. That sounds scary enough. A woman dressed in black and just picture just a spooky, scary face. No thank you. Again, a lot of women have gotten their hair pulled and dresses pulled on. Just let them know they're not wanted unless she invites them. It's been told 1,000 times that has happened. But one particular night, the bartender said, "Last call," so the barflies chug their drink down to get their next drink while waiting for the bartender to arrive. Right in front of them stood the woman in black. She stared them down. They couldn't speak. They couldn't even scream for the bartender. When the bartender came, she was nowhere in sight. So they're telling this bartender all about it. And again, he says, "Oh, you mean the woman in black?" Correct. That is correct. Anyone want to go have a drink? The Blind Tiger? Be my guest. And let the walls talk to you. Or shall the woman in black appear? Come on, guys. So many stories to tell. Hey y'all, I hope you still are with me and having fun and not spooked, or maybe you got spooked. Make sure you have your phones on still, because I bet one of you guys are going to catch something. It'll be fun. Anyway, so we are at the F.W. Wagner's house, where he housed all of his businesses. The top floor was the cotton business. He inherited it all from his family, like, many do. We all inherit the money, but he blew all the money. Cotton business was going down, so this was his last hope to save the family business, save the family name. He had a crop left of cotton. He sold it to the British. His last remaining crop. And that's when disaster struck. The boat went up in flames. everything lost. Well, that puts a damper on things, doesn't it? Remember how I said suicides earlier? He went up to his office on his leather chair. He tied a rope to his neck. Tied it to the ceiling. Stepped on his chair, leather chair, and kicked. Needless to say, he died. The poor little paper boy, doing his rounds, saw a man just swinging along. So called the authorities, and he committed suicide. I feel when you commit suicide, who cares what I feel? He haunts it, okay, you guys? He haunts it today. As a restaurant, people will see him just hanging around, you know, eating, and he will be dangling, just swoopity swoop, or just, again, by the table, just like the story I told earlier. How, like, yay, how spooky. So, the manager has a really interesting story. He heard they used upstairs for storage, where the cotton was and where he hung himself. A box, it sounded like a big bang, and he thought, oh, a box fell. So he went upstairs to check on the, you know, what happened. And he was, you know, just, it should have been a simple task, just, you know, put the box up, but he couldn't reach it. So he noticed this leather chair just out of nowhere. So he grabbed the leather chair, not knowing about the guy using the leather chair to commit suicide. He got on the leather chair. As he put it up, the box in its place, the leather chair flew, causing the manager to collapse and fall. Luckily, nothing, I mean, he's alive to tell the story. He's fine. You know, God's like, he landed on a filing cabinet. I mean, big deal. Who hasn't? I just don't have really good luck. So, but no, so just like scrapes and bruises. But then when he told the owner was like, wait. Is everyone with us still? Great. I hope you're having a good time. Okay, so now we're at the Old Exchange, the Dungeon. From 1767 to 1771, this was constructed from stone that was imported from England. It was known, so over 100 years, it was known as the Old Watch House, the guard post. It acted as Charleston's military headquarters and closed as part of the original walled city for fear of attack from the Native Americans, the French, the pirates. Part of that wall can still be seen today in the dungeon. Actually, 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence were imprisoned here. Before it became the British military prison, it was notorious for holding soldiers from the Revolutionary War, runaway slaves, pirates, even women and children. and families, all crammed into this dungeon. Where do they go to the bathroom? Just something I probably should look into. The smell had to be atrocious, and being chained from the wrist, ankles, obviously many died here. What comes with death? What comes with sudden death that you do not expect? Ghosts. Paranormal activity. When you go in, you'll feel cold spots. That oftentimes means a spirit's right with you. Tugging of the dress, pants, hair tugging, and I do not appreciate hair tugging. And you'll look behind, you might see a person and get all up in their grill, but it's not the person behind you. Oftentimes there's no one behind you. Who could it be? There's a lot of people, because a lot of people die. A lot of history. What comes with history? What comes with pain, suffering, that they suffered in these conditions? Just awful conditions. So, not too long ago, a man and his family went on a visit to the dungeon, and he just had this inkling, this feeling. Sometimes you get that. He wanted that chain that was on display. So he grabbed it. He felt it. He felt how heavy it was. And really got into it with his fingertips, everything. Employee saw, kicked the family out, which was a blessing for the family. Not a blessing really for him. That night he had a nightmare that he was in the dungeon. He smelled the disgust, the wrench that came from it. He felt the chains to his ankles, to his wrist, ankles, wrist. When he woke up, he was so sore. His ankles, his wrist, just in so much pain. Every night after that, and till this day, it still happens, that dream. He's went to doctors. No one can explain it. No one can explain his wrist and his ankle pain. Is it worth it to do? Don't play around with something you don't know. The paranormal is something we really don't know. It's like an unsolved mystery. Oh, we'll talk later. Now we're at the Mills Hotel. This was built by Otis Mills, who was a wealthy grain merchant. Everyone is, right? So, it was built luxury Italiano, running water, anything you can imagine. Gorgeous hotel. It was rumored that Robert Lee and all the Civil War soldiers, not all of them, like some, stayed there. Then the Great Fire happens. Robert E. Lee and the soldiers were helping the women and the children, because heaven forbid women and children can help themselves. That's a scary sight right there, right? Anyway, so to get them out of the fireplace, done, burnt down, along with most of the city. I think 600 houses to be exact, and all businesses done, which is really sad. Anyway, so that's a sad and scary story all at once. However, as we're standing here, they rebuilt it basically the same way, except you'll see there's 7 stories instead of 5. I know that when you rebuild something on land that has had tragedy or death, obviously, what are you gonna get? Spirits, right? Paranormal activity. And that is what happens here all the time. People are seeing soldiers, maybe even Robert E. Lee himself. There's tons of hauntings that go on here. Who's staying here? Have fun. I think it's the 3rd floor. That's the worst. So definitely change where you're staying at to the 3rd floor. Anyway, that happened. And now we have a manager who's in the 90s, and here's where the story comes. Who's all like, this place isn't haunted, I haven't seen a thing, whatever. So he was going to play a prank on one of the guards. So he hid under the stairwell, and he knew what time the guard was coming, and he had his spray can and a lighter to firebomb him. So the door opens, and he's ready with his firebomb, does it. He notices no one came through the door. Where's the guard? There isn't. He smells smoke, and he is going frantic, absolutely frantic. We can't find the smoke. Oh my gosh, what did I do? No one came through the door. Now I'm smelling smoke, and there's a kid that's burning. He's rubbing his eyes. I need to help him. So he put his hand out, and the kid bursts into flames. And then the kid came back. This happened about 4 times. He fumbles for his walkie-talkie thing, calls the guard, help. He comes, and he points at the kid that isn't there. Now, who is this kid? Maybe one of you that are staying at the Mills Hotel will see him tonight.